Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PHATcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the most recent Nintendo Direct, which was on the calendar here, the 13th of September. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. So today, I've got my lovely best friends in the world, SBO and Gavin /Gaming98.
Hello.
I don't know. Are you still going by that name, Gavin?
Half no, half yes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't
Just
know.
call me Gavin. Make it easier for us all.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You changed your name on the Switch, so I thought, is this it? Is this the end of an era?
It is. That name was terrible anyway. Had it since 2008.
I've got a lot of nostalgia for that name. I'll have you know.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, so do I. And
well, today we're here to talk about the Direct, of course. I think overall, and I suppose we can sort of go around our overall thoughts on the Direct in summary. I think this was one of their weakest ones in a while.
Well,
What do you
obviously
think?
I'm biased, but even besides that, I don't think it was too particularly weak because it did mention quite a few first titles, and we do know of some directs that are just mostly indies, even though they masquerade as like first-party directs, but they're not. So in that regard, this one was decent, but that's pretty much as I can say. Just decent.
Yeah, it had like really high highs. I think like I had a couple of really good stuff, but then like in between, like I remember at one point Gavin was like, "It's been 25 minutes." I was like, "Oh shit, we've only got like 15 minutes left," and half of it was just farming sims. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, what were your thoughts overall, Gavin?
it was okay, I guess. It certainly wasn't as good as the last direct we had, but when they announced something good, it was really good. I just wish there was more of it. There's only really like 1, 2 new big games that were revealed in that direct.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've all got highlights. So we're just going to go through the games as they got released. We're definitely going to have more to say on some than others. But we started out with a new Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Engage.
Hooray!
Right. This one is a funny one because apparently there were leaks about this around 3-4 months ago, and everybody was just laughing at Toothpaste Kun and Toothpaste Chan.
You just kept saying, you was like, the toothpaste is real. I was like, what are you talking
because
about?
Of the leaks.
It was
So ridiculous. Everybody was talking about it. But like the funny part is, somebody eventually realized, hey, hang on, these models are just the same models used for some anime character in some mobile game. And everybody was like, oh, so it's just fake then. And the leaks got dropped instantly. Wow. And then the entire world forgot about it until 2 days ago when it just suddenly materializes into a real game. That's not how it should go. It's meant to be a joke. Intelligent systems.
Of all
looked like a spin-off.
It does look like
a
spin-off.
Yeah, it like once it got into the gameplay, I realized that it's actual Fire Emblem, but I think you said at SBO, you said like it looks like it takes like the spirit of Fire Emblem Heroes almost, like from the mobile game.
Yes, that's why I actually thought at first it was going to be a sequel to Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah.
They right away jumped on the wagon of, Heroes of Old, all in this new game. And I was like, oh yeah, it's just Heroes 2. But then it quite isn't?
Yeah, I mean, it looks good, like graphically and stuff. I think me and you said afterwards that like it just didn't seem like its own thing. Like it seemed like it seemed like a Fire Emblem Heroes advert. You could almost say, like if it didn't have the gameplay
in. Right, from the wheel you see with the characters, the past Fire Emblem game characters in that weird art style, it looks like we only have access to like 14 of them. So I don't know. At first, I thought it would be okay. It's a new Fire Emblem title, but it's going to rely a lot on old heroes, so we're probably going to see like 50 of them. But now I'm starting to think it's not quite like that, and they probably know they can't really get away with just having a game that's only fan service.
Yeah.
They know they have to make a good like core game. So probably, yeah. So the collection of heroes we can summon is probably just going to be limited to those 14 or whatever.
Well, 40 is still not bad because
I think
that's almost all the Fire Emblem games that exist anyway.
Yeah, except Awakening has got Lucina and I think Chrom and Robin. So
Awakening has too many main characters.
Yeah.
I thought maybe is it just Lords that are coming back then?
Just what?
Lords. Like it's not just random characters; it's only Lords from past Fire Emblem games.
I think I saw Robin there.
Lyn is Lyn a Lord though?
I think Lyn is.
I haven't played the game yet, so I don't know.
She is one of the main characters of that game, so
I know
Yeah.
Sigurd is a lord. That's as much as I know about that. And I saw
which one's
Celica
Sigurd
as well. Sigurd's from Genealogy of the Holy War. It's one of the Super Famicom Fire Emblems.
Right, okay, I've definitely heard that name before, so
Yeah.
I did wonder. Yeah, I think I am going to get it, and to be fair, I probably will get it like close to release because I didn't get Free Houses close to release, and it became a nightmare to track down later on.
I haven't
Yeah.
even started Free Houses and already thrown us a new Fire Emblem game.
Yeah.
Nintendo, stop it, please. Fire
I'm
Emblem's
so far
such a
behind.
cash cow now.
And you guys probably will want to also play Three Hopes. Take it from me. So, chop to it.
Yeah, I know. I'm so
Finish
far
Xenoblade
behind.
3 first. God, don't rush me. I'd like to remind you, I have a job now. I can't just have all the time in the world anymore now. I need
Welcome
to
to life.
micromanage my time, mate.
Yeah.
I
I'm
thought
not a
this
free
the other
man
day
anymore.
when people used to say to me, like, I'd be like, oh, yeah, play like this big RPG or what have you, and they go, oh, I don't have the time. I'm like, you do have the time. And then I've now learned that, with how busy I am these days as well, is that like you just have to accept that you can't play every game because like
Exactly.
it's like, oh yeah, you might have the time, but you don't want to dedicate all that time to playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you just sort of get that around your head, and it's a sad realization, but it's one we all will have.
Welcome to adulthood.
Yeah.
Thanks, I hate it.
So I think that's coming out in. I think is that early. Is it early next year? Fire Emblem's coming out.
January.
I think January, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty soon actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, I do plan on picking it up. I'm interested to see more though of like what if it's going to be its own thing because I think we said this before, but they've done the whole recruit or bring back past heroes before. Like they had it in Awakening. I'm pretty sure they had it in Fates as well. I don't know if they had it in Three Houses. Did the SBO?
They didn't.
Right. Okay. So, but it's something they've done before. So the fact that they're making a whole game around it was a bit like, this isn't anything new.
Yeah.
But yeah, next up we've got It Takes Two. I think this won Game of the Year, didn't it, last year?
It won some awards. That's pretty much all we know, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, I've heard it's very good. It's a co-op
Mhm.
game. I don't think I'll be picking it up. Unfortunately, it's just not my kind of thing. I don't think. Like we said, just not enough time to play all these games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though it had all those gimmicks about family plans or friend families, some sort of new feature about the Switch that apparently another person without the game can play with you remotely.
Oh yes,
So
it was like a
might be
friend pass,
interesting.
wasn't it?
Yeah, friend pass. I think that was it.
Yeah. Okay, that's not too bad. It's like I think you said it's like DS download play, but in modern day.
It might just be streaming because I imagine, like, for DS download play, it's like downloading 100 megabytes of game. That's all right, trivial. But for this, I'm pretty sure It Takes Two is like 8 gigs. You're not gonna download it real quick just to play with your brother. For like an
very
hour.
true.
So it might just be streaming it in real time.
We've got Fatal Frame, Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse next, and yeah, I'm happy. I think I said it's not something that I'm going to pick up, but I'm happy to see that Fatal Frame is continuing.
Oh yeah, Fatal Frame exists.
Yeah.
I thought this was a new game at first, but it turns out it's actually not. It's a remake of a game that was released on the Wii in Japan.
Oh, Japan only, huh?
Is it? Oh, so is it like a remaster then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like the 4th game in the series, something like that. It was
Right,
actually
okay.
really exclusive back then.
Yeah, because I don't think that came to the West, did it? I think that was early in Japan.
That's correct. It was
Yeah.
Japan only.
Yeah, score some points, baby. I've got knowledge. So next we've got the Xenoblade 3 expansion pass Wave 2. Whew, that was a mouthful. So I think we're getting a new hero, a new quest, and swimwear. Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't in the base game, to be fair, but I think Xenoblade 2 put swimwear in afterwards too.
Where the fan service was, and well, here it is now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do notice that Xenoblade 3 as a whole is a lot less fan servicey with its character designs. You don't have any big boob blades anymore. There's a bit of arse though. Have you seen Uni's arse in some of those costumes?
Have you seen Noah's ass?
Everyone's saying,
arse is
everyone's
arse.
got cake.
Arse is arse, SBO. I wouldn't complain.
I think, it's definitely less provocative than 2, like, straight up. But there is, I think, I won't spoil it because it's a character that SPO hasn't come across yet, but there's a character later on, Gavin. I don't know if you've seen, like, her chest just fucking goes everywhere.
Goodness.
Do you know who I mean?
Uni? No,
No.
not Uni.
No.
Ethel.
No.
No, not well. Ethel, yes, but like later than that.
Later on, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I guess I'm not.
I'll message you after the recording then.
Might as well.
If you don't know who I'm on about, I'm very surprised because it's like front and center. But
Well,
I'll tell you, who doesn't have
as a
tits.
whole is just a lot more mature. Isn't it? I noticed there's a lot of swearing. I've
Yeah.
kind
Well,
of
there's a lot. No,
dozen.
there's a lot of substitutes for swearing.
Well, yeah, Spark,
So,
but just playing through chapter 5, there was like 12 uses of the word shit in that one chapter.
well, goodness.
From the same character. I was like,
Mm,
how did
yeah.
this game get away with a 12 rating? Where's
Yeah.
where's the one fuck in the whole game? Where is it?
I don't know
Oh,
if
I hope there is one. It's
They
probably
usually
going to be
just say,
DLC
like,
exclusive.
They usually substitute like sparking for fuck. I think.
Hmm. Which does give the dialogue a bit more of an edge.
And
Yeah,
it
it
still
does,
sounds
yeah.
British as hell, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It does sound like something Brits would say. Like, it's like, oh, what the spark is this all about?
It does.
But we've got a new hero. She's actually, I won't spoil it because these guys haven't finished Xenoblade 3 yet, so I won't go into everything. But this hero looks like she's going to have a very unique play style. And in the base game, I think there's really only one other hero that is like that, like just completely has new mechanics and stuff, which is really fun. So I think that all the future DLC heroes will have like their own thing, if you get me.
Hmm.
A bit
I
like
hope
Smash
so.
characters. When they come
Yeah.
out, DLC Smash characters always have their own
Oh
mechanics and
boy,
shit.
comeback mechanics.
Yeah, so I'm interested to learn how she plays, but I'm someone who I haven't bought the expansion pass. I'm going to hopefully what they'll do is what I did with Torna and release a physical game with the story DLC and have the expansion pass included. So that's the way I'm gonna get it.
Oh yes, here's
Might as well.
hoping.
Mm.
I'm not diving right in until I know for sure.
So next up, we have SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake. This oddly, weirdly, I actually kind of like the look of this game. It looks like it's a spiritual sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom, and I played the remake of that and actually had a pretty good time with it. So might keep an eye on it. I don't, might not pick it up day one, but I think it could be a fun little platformer, to be honest.
I did notice
Yeah.
there was a lot of like fan service with the different costumes that SpongeBob can wear.
Mhm.
Like how he actually has his belt round his face, like he's impersonating Squidward in the Opposite Day episode of the cartoon.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of that in Battle for Bikini Bottom as well, but that one came out in like 2003 or whatever it was. It focused very much on like the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob, whereas I think this one's gonna like just have Easter eggs from all of the show, up to the current day. So next is Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star. This looked like an arcade game. I couldn't believe this was on the Switch. It looked like an arcade game from the 90s.
Yeah, we commented on that, not just because of the gameplay, but also because of the graphics.
Yeah, it just screamed like it's like something you'd find in like a shopping center or a wacky warehouse or
Absolutely.
some place like that.
Other
Or
than that, it
McDonald's.
doesn't look bad. So I guess it's one of those games where if you're a fan of Fist of the North Star and you want to get in shape, it's like probably enjoyable.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
modes?
I think it could be quite nostalgic as well if you were like growing up around that time.
Yeah.
Oddballers, don't remember this, to be honest. Do you guys know anything about this? Oddballers?
What was that one game that looked a bit like man, all those brawling games with ragdoll physics and goofy characters?
Yeah, they sort of like blur into one sometimes.
A bit. Sorry, Oddballers devs, but yeah, there's only so much we can follow.
Tunic, though, I do recognise. There was a lot of talk about Tunic when it came to Game Pass. It's
Tunic, oh yeah, it's that
was-
Legend of Zelda book with a fox instead, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you nearly threw
I
up
was
because
like-
it's hydrometric.
What? Hey! Look, it's not that simple, all right? Isometric games just sometimes don't have the best coding. Sonic 3D.
Look, you cannot base your judgment of isometric games on Sonic Bloody 3D.
It just really left a bad taste in my mouth, that one game.
You just have a
That's
problem with
right.
the jumping in isometric games. Also, you just have a problem with jumping with the D-pad. You just have a problem with jumping in general.
To be fair,
Well, jumping's very important in a platformer, is it not?
Well, I played Crash Bandicoot 2 Entrance last year for a video I did, And that game's got these ball levels where you roll around in a ball. That's isometric, and oh my god, the depth perception was like nothing. Like,
It's
you
another
have
problem
no
with
idea.
isometric games, the depth perception.
Yeah, the depth perception
It will
can be
always
iffy.
screw you over, and for some reason, no one can get it right.
I
I don't know if
don't
that's
know
just
why.
limitations or what.
It's probably the worst game to do a platformer in, so I don't know why Sonic team decided to go, oh yeah, platformer in isometric. That's a great idea.
I think it was
Well, just
Travis
to
Taylor's
bust the
idea.
limitations of the console.
Yeah, Tunic though, sorry, yeah. But besides the fact it's isometric, I have heard good stuff about it. I just think that it's really vague, it's really obtuse. It's supposed to be, it's not supposed to hold your hand at all. It just lets you go out into the world and figure stuff out. So
Cool.
I think it might be a fun little game for if you're waiting for if you're waiting for a long time or you've got time to kill. But there's just so many games out, like we've said. So front mission, first, second, and third remakes. Cool.
Cool.
That's it.
You would say. Cool.
Yeah.
And
next
now...
is Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, the first of many, many farming games in this direct.
I've heard somebody say, I can't remember if it was one of us or if it was just another friend group, but it's like with the pandemic, Animal Crossing got a lot of attention, and all the other indie devs were like, wow, we need to get a share of that cake. But in the meantime, the pandemic was over, and 2-3 years have passed, and now we're seeing the effects of that wave.
So basically, this is the newest trend in gaming now. Like,
yes.
we're done with like open world games, and now it's just farming simulators for years to come.
I didn't realize that until you just said that, to be honest, SBA. That's like that's a pretty
it
good
does click,
observation. It does make sense because even in games later on, like I think there's an RPG later on. I think it's Atelier Riser 3 or what have you. It's one of them, but normally I think that would just be a normal RPG. But they went out of their way to say like, oh yeah, there's farming elements. So I think you're right. I think it's something to do with the pandemic boom of farming games. Yeah. I've heard. I was saying to Gavin actually that Story of Seasons is it's technically Harvest Moon, but without the name. So yeah, not a game for me. I think Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley were like all the farming games that I need for forever. I think so.
Yeah, probably.
So next up we've got an announcement of a Splatoon 3 Splatfest. Cool, it's a Splatfest. It's going to be the first one for Splatoon 3, which I've been enjoying a lot. Gavin's played a bit of it as well, haven't you, Gavin?
Splatoon 3, it's actually been holding up.
Yeah,
the first two games were nothing but communication errors. Every other game here, I very rarely had them so far. The game's actually been holding up with the online play so far. I don't want to speak too soon, but it's been fairly solid.
Yeah, I'll be fair that I had a humdinger of a night the other night when I was playing. My God, our communication errors all the time. It was a bad one, but that was the only segment where I've had a bad time with it. So
I had a lot of trouble with the demo though. That was nigh unplayable at times. I don't know what was wrong with it, but
I think everyone had
the
trouble
full
with
game's
that.
fine mostly.
Yeah, I think I heard a lot of people say they had trouble with the demo, but I don't know. I didn't think that would carry over into the full game, and luckily for the most part, it hasn't. So
you know what did carry over into the full game that I wish they didn't? The fact that the match just ends if someone disconnects early.
That's a double-edged sword, I think, because I like the fact that you don't waste your time fighting a losing fight, but at the same time, if it happens enough, it's like, oh, I'm just not able to play them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of, kills the pace, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, because I think it kills the pace so hard, though, because Diddy Bound was talking about this, our friend Diddy Bound, but who's a massive Splatoon fan. He was saying like how much faster the game is compared to 2, like going through menus, getting into games, the speed of the game and stuff like that. So the fact it's so much faster, when something does interrupt you, it's like, oh shit, yeah. It really stands out.
Like you can actually skip the broadcasts now. You can move around while they're going on, like in the corner of the screen.
Yeah.
Even the way you spawn in is a lot faster. You don't just emerge from the spawn point anymore. You like launch yourself at the map.
I'm mixed on that because sometimes it's nice to be able to because beforehand, like in Splatoon 1 and 2, because you respawn on the map instead of like a little block outside it, you can just like respawn and then throw a bomb straight away, and it's good in Turf War to get like an extra bit of ink last second. Whereas in this one, like you need a few seconds to be able to jump off the thing first. So I mean, overall, I like it more, but that was a downgrade in that sense.
Yeah, it's a bit of a niche.
Yeah.
like it more because it somewhat alleviates spawn camping, which I felt was a huge problem in the first 2 games, especially on
Well,
the really narrow maps like Walleye Warehouse and
yeah,
Hammerhead
that was
Bridge.
Splatoon 1's map design wasn't fantastic. And to be fair as well, like it does alleviate it because before you'd only ever be invincible on the actual respawn pad, whereas now when you get fired from the block, you're actually invincible for like 3 or 4 seconds after leaving it, so you can't get spawn camped really,
Yeah, yeah. That's
which
something
is
that's
fun.
the other 2 games were sorely missing was iframes when you left the spawn point. That
Yeah,
that that just seemed like a big, big stupid thingy idea.
big
Design
stupid thing, eh?
choice. Big stupid thingy design choice.
Yeah,
It was one of those what were they thinking moments.
but
Yeah.
I am excited for the Splatfest because this is the first time. I think did you say that halfway through the Splatfest that's when the free team play comes into it?
So
They announced the leading team.
you don't have to play 3-way, as far as I can gather from the demo. You can
No,
still
it's
do
optional.
4 versus 4.
All right, okay, so it's up to you if you want. Fucking hell, Splatoon giving you a choice in the way you play.
Right?
That is rare for that
I
series.
only have high hopes for this game. We know it's gonna get updates for 2 full years, which
Yeah,
means
and
this game's got a pretty long lifespan. It means the
uh,
Switch still has a lot of life in it.
it does, and not to go off on like too much of a tangent about Splatoon 3 because we're on about the direct, but I'm actually really impressed with how much is in the game at launch because it pretty much everything from Splatoon 2, like all the weapons that are introduced in that game, through the updates as well, are actually in Splatoon 3 at launch. So it doesn't feel bare bones at all, really,
Right.
Really.
which is
That
fun.
means it's only gonna get bigger and better as time goes on. I actually really
Indeed.
look forward to see what they do with the game. I
Speaking
just
of
hope
bigger and better,
it's good, all the way through.
Wait, no,
yeah,
you can't go to the next one without us talking a bit about which choice we'd pick for the Splatfest. What kind of
I
podcast would
can't
this be?
remember the thing.
Theme.
What is it? I can't remember it.
If you're in a deserted island, or if you were gonna land in a deserted island, would you bring tools, food, or fun? Would you?
Oh yeah, I'm going for grub.
I'm going
Say
for tools. I'm an engineer. I solve problems. I
That's
can
true.
solve problems
Yeah.
without the tools.
I'd say fun. Wow, we all picked a different choice.
Well, I can see the reasoning for each because I think someone
Yeah,
would say like, why would you want fun? It's like, look, if you're going to accept that these are your last days, you're going to want some fun before you go.
might as well. Or if it's like you're just
You
in the
can't.
middle of a small island or a
Well,
small island close to land, it's like, oh, somebody's gonna rescue me in a bit. I'll just have fun.
yeah.
To say
Actually,
you didn't even know you were gonna end up on a deserted island. Who's to say you don't know you're gonna stay there?
Mm,
well,
how
well,
would
this
you
is the thing. They didn't
prepare?
put any context behind it, did they? They didn't
Yeah,
say, oh
not at
yeah, you're
all.
in a deserted island, but you're leaving in 3 days.
It's a what if
Exactly.
scenario, and you fill in the blanks. It's like choose your own adventure.
The more I think about it, the more I think that the like tools is probably the optimal one because like fun is
Exactly.
like yeah I'm dead but I want to have some fun before I go. Food is just delaying the inevitable, but tools is like progressive, like you can actually do stuff and figure something out.
Exactly.
So I don't know, it's grub or tools for me. I might change.
You guys are no fun. I like
I
fun. Speaking of
mean you'll
fun,
join
next
us
joke in the
anyway, so
game.
they're on the same team. What was that?
Yeah.
You want to go next game? Was it good? Because this is a game I'm very excited for.
Not
It's
what I said,
Octopath
but
Traveler
okay.
2. I played the original Octopath Traveler when it first came out, and I absolutely loved it. It was the first HD 2D game that Square put out. I think it still looks like just that art style is just so beautiful. I'm really excited to play Live Alive. That's the one.
Sounds
I'm going to
very
start that
indie,
soon.
isn't it?
Does.
Yeah, it looks indie, but at the same time, it still looks like classic in a way.
Yeah.
My only issue was like they seem to have put out a lot of the same like art style in a short time.
Yeah, people are
Hmm.
probably gonna get tired of it.
Mm.
That's something I am a bit concerned about.
Like I think this is the fifth. This is the fifth game that they've announced with this art style. There's Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy, the Dragon Quest III remake, which we still haven't heard anything about. Um,
Yeah.
Live Alive, and now Octopath Traveler 2. But I mean, just concerning the game looks phenomenal. Like just from a graphical standpoint, the soundtrack for the first game was one of the best ever, I think.
Do you
And
know
yeah, I what's that?
do you know who the composers were? Or
I don't
composer?
actually.
You don't?
No, do you?
No, I don't.
Don't look at me.
Spirit goes, actually, it was.
I'm gonna see if I can find out real quick.
If you're not even going to play the game, I definitely should just listen to the soundtrack because it is that good.
The soundtrack was done by Yasunori Mishiki.
Not a name I recognise, I gotta say.
No.
I'm gonna look that up. Great, now I'm curious.
Well, since these guys haven't played Octopath Traveler, the first one, I'll just say that I think the reason why I really liked Octopath Traveler was one because it come out in a pretty uncompetitive year. I think 2018 was the slowest and weakest year that the Switch has had, and Octopath Traveler came out like slap bang in the middle of that. So it was like a really good revitalization for the system. And the HD2D took me. So
I see why I never heard of this composer. They haven't really done anything truly notable besides Octopath Traveler.
Oh right, okay.
They're also very recent. They've only been composing music since like the early 2010s.
Are they doing the second game then?
I'm not seeing that. I don't know. It's not.
Well, I hope so.
He composed for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh well, then that's not underground.
Let's see, Kingdom Hearts 3, Gravity Rush 2, Sakura Wars. A bunch of weird games I've never heard of. Yeah, this is like not really familiar to me.
Yeah. Well, the only criticisms I have of the first game really was the fact that the party members don't really interact with each other, apart from like they almost have support conversations. You know, like how Fire Emblem does it.
Mm-hmm.
They have like support conversations, but like in the actual story itself, they don't really interact because they've all got their own separate stories, and it's like the others are just along for the ride. But apparently, they even went out the way. If I'm remembering right, they even said in the trailer that they'll interact with each other. So that's like immediately an improvement. And I hope that they make the actual story final boss, like the big final boss at the end. I hope they just don't make it as difficult or as grindy that the first game did, because I didn't even beat the first game. It's probably like the hardest boss I've ever faced in a game. I couldn't do it. I know. So I think I grinded for like 15 hours before going to fight it again. I still couldn't beat it. So
what is this, Mother 1?
I'm gonna try and beat it before 2 comes out. But if I don't, anyhow, I'm gonna get it anyway. So. So next up is Faith Farm, a bloody farming game.
Faith Farm.
I think we can just move on to the next.
Yeah, we'll skip over. Next is the Final Fantasy Rhythm game. It's a phone game.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, we could skip this one if you want. I wish we had more rhythm games for like the series that have great music like Final Fantasy, but I think this literally is a port of the phone game, so not really interested.
Yeah, it's neat that it has a lot of songs from other games, but
yeah, it's funny how like that was another thing as well actually, because they were boasting about how many songs are in the game. It was like 502 songs or what have you, but then like they had underneath it like digital deluxe edition has this many and blah 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 has this many, and I'm thinking like obviously it's a different beast, but Smash had like over 1,000 songs on release, so
yeah. That's another thing, funny thing I pointed out while the direct was going on. The same panels and fonts they used in the actual footage of the direct to show, it has these many songs and these many songs. It looked exactly like Sakurai presenting how many songs a DLC file is going to have. Like, it was the same font and everything.
Yeah, I definitely had the same style. Yeah, so that was the Final Fantasy VII Final Fantasy Room game. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Did you guys play the first Mario and Rabbids?
Never.
And I skipped out on it, even though I really shouldn't have, because Grant Kirkhope
Yeah,
was the composer.
everybody's regretting skipping out on it, apparently.
I think I said it in the direct, but sorry, Gavin, you can talk.
Well, it must have done well enough if it's getting a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Everybody who's played it says they liked it.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I think, to be honest, I might be wrong to be fair, but I think a big part of why it got praise and why it sold well was because it came out early in the Switch's life, and the fact that there wasn't much on the Switch at the time when it came out. So I think that people were just happy to have another Switch game. Do you know what I mean? I remember hearing good stuff about bloody Snake Pass. Who's talking about Snake Pass in 2022? No one. So I think it was slim pickings, but I originally really liked the look of this game because I thought it was like more of a platformer game. But it looks like they're just expanding the gameplay of the original, to be honest. So, which is like more XCOM-y, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I might be skipping on this one. What about you guys?
I'll give it a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, Rune Factory 3 Special. Another farming game. I actually remember I did want to get Rune Factory 4, I think, at one point, but again, it's just I don't know. They all we were saying about the those dungeon brawlers or what have you. They all sort of start to blur into one.
Yes.
And our friend, who was actually a massive fan of farming games, said that he don't know why this one's being remade because it's still pretty all right. Like the first and second games need the remake. So, so next up is it was actually probably one of the stronger additions to the NSO lineup. With
it was surprising for sure.
Yeah, but they announced a bunch of N64 games for NSO Online. They're actually trying to make it
worth it.
Worth it. Yeah, because that seemed to be a big complaint for a lot of people. They were asking for a lot for this expansion pass, for honestly not that much.
Well, they were in
America.
America.
They're actually trying to push it now. They know people want more N64 games, so they're gonna try to deliver, aren't they? Meanwhile, the Mega Drive app has been left in the dust. When was the last time that was updated?
Oh yeah, that exists, doesn't it?
Did they? How many games did they put on that when it came out? Like, did they just dump it all on there at once?
I don't know,
They
probably
did
like
update
30?
like once, so a while back, but not again since then. There's only
There's not much on there.
No, you have Sonic 2. You don't have Sonic 1 for whatever reason.
I thought they would have just put like everything on there because that's what Sega does. They re-release everything night and day.
Well, I don't know. I don't even know why Nintendo bothered with it. Like, you got Mega Drive games getting re-released all the bloody time. Like, the Mega Drive Mini 2 is coming out this year. I just don't know why Nintendo bothered.
Well, the headliner was GoldenEye 007, which, I mean, at first, I think we all were like, it's Metroid. Oh my god, what? Like, Metroid didn't have an N64 thing.
I heard the boom boom, and I was like,
oh,
is that GoldenEye? That's GoldenEye.
Yeah, of course.
How?
They baited us with the damn icon for the player in the footage. That was all.
No Metroid game on N64 though.
Yeah.
I think that
true,
might be
but
why they did it. So, like,
yeah, remember that we're starved for
it.
Metroid.
Oh yeah, Prime 4. Remember that game? They never showed it.
They might do. We still don't know yet. No, we know they didn't do it.
No, but yeah, GoldenEye 007 getting re-released after 25 years. It only makes sense. It only makes sense that they would actually try to get it on there because it's one of the most iconic games on the Nintendo 64. It's right up there with Ocarina of Time and Mario 64. They couldn't not do it. It's just they actually fixed the right issues, which is amazing.
I said that they put Samus in because of the Metroid emblem.
Well, then again, after seeing what Smash Ultimate did, Nintendo can do whatever the spark they want now, couldn't they? They could probably like re-release Popeye, the original arcade Popeye, couldn't they? If they really wanted to at this point.
I think that's the hype of spin is the fact that you're like, oh, I don't think that could come because I think we were talking about Gavin, but yeah, the rights for GoldenEye 007 is like it's weird.
Yeah, it's like the actual game itself. I think it's like between Nintendo, Rare, and of course the actual owners of 007, James Bond.
Yeah, it was a bit strange.
I'd also think there was a bit with Activision because they had the rights to James Bond games for a bit as well, and they even made a remake on the Wii. Do you guys remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah, I didn't hear much about it.
Well, it just replaced Pierce Brosnan with Daniel Craig, and that was about it.
Oh, I do remember the people kicking up a stink about that.
Yeah, and while we're on the subject of the N64, they're putting the Pokemon Stadium games on there too. Which why did they bother?
I was hyped for that, and then I saw that Pokemon can't be transferred to it, and I was like, oh, I understand.
They're completely missing the point here because back in the day, you had the transfer pack. It came with the game. And it was a big selling point of the game was to upload your Pokemon from the Game Boy games onto Stadium so you could battle with them. And you pretty much need to do that if you want to get anywhere because the rental Pokemon you get in Stadium, they are purposefully bad. They are not very good to use. They're pretty mediocre at best. It's even worse in Stadium 2, where they're just straight up shit.
Yeah,
The only reason
that's
to
a
play
shame.
Pokemon Stadium on Switch Online is just for the minigames. The minigames are pretty iconic, especially in the first game, but that's really all you're gonna do unless you want to pull your hair out trying to beat those like gym leader challenges, because those are proper difficult. And also the Master Cup difficulty in the main tournament mode. Yeah, good luck with that without your own Pokemon.
I did say that maybe they could do something to try and get the 3DS, like versions of Red and Blue and Yellow to work with. Oh yeah, and the second generation games as well to work with it.
I thought they would incorporate like Pokemon Home support, but I guess
yeah, something like that.
Oh, just too much effort across the board.
Yeah, I think it is too much effort. I think they've like gone. We'll put these on because it's a curiosity that people can just play these games and see how they work. But it is a shame that you won't be able to get the full experience out of it.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I just wouldn't have done it anyway. Because again, half the game is pretty much inaccessible. There's also the Game Boy Tower. The Game Boy Tower can't be played at all because I actually used the transfer pack. You played your game on the TV for your N64. It was actually really
I'm interested
cool.
to see how that's going to work then.
Yeah,
they might make some changes. We know they patched the ROMs for NSO.
I don't think the Game Boy Tower just straight work.
Well, they also announced that they're going to put the first 3 Mario parties on there, which I thought was a good.
That's
addition.
a pretty big deal because Mario Party 2 has been re-released. 1 and 3 never been re-released before. Mario Party 1, well, Mario Party 1 is not a good game.
I wonder if they're going to put a warning on there.
It's not going to make a difference. People are still going to use their palms like they did in Superstars because it's just faster.
Yeah, but I think legally it covers them then.
Mario Party 1 has aged like milk. It's not a good game to play. It is. If you've never played Mario Party 1, it is incredibly rough. It's brutal and very punishing. In team-based minigames, the losing team actually loses coins.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah. I think that's one of the, like, you want to see where series have started, though, and I think that's one of the good things about NSO.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, yeah, it might not be good, but still put it on there so we can play it. I want to play it for myself.
Hey, I'm glad it's on there, but I'm just saying, don't expect much because it's so badly aged. Also, Mario Party 3 is getting re-released, and that I'm actually really happy for because I just think Mario Party 3 is the best of the N64 Mario Parties.
You were surprised as well, weren't you? Because you thought it might not get re-released because it's got gambling in it.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute, but with Mario Party 3, that is the game where I felt Mario Party actually started to gain its identity because that's the first game that allowed. Yeah, you know how in Mario Party 2 you could only have 1 item at a time and it was really annoying? Mario Party 3 was the first time you could actually have 3 items at a time. It was also the first game to have a single-player story mode. If you've ever seen that cutscene of Daisy bitch-slapping Bowser into oblivion, that's where that's from.
Brilliant.
And of course, you also have Waluigi, who actually plays a part in the story mode. He has his own board as well, and it is so brutal. It's actually the good kind of brutal, though. There's traps everywhere, but they never feel too unfair. Like there's the bomb, there's the circle like in the middle with the bomb. If you land on the happening spaces, it goes down. Like there's a timer, a countdown even. If it blows up, then everyone in that circle loses all their coins, but at the same time, it's predictable. So about the gambling, yeah, that was why I thought Mario Party 3 would never get re-released, because there was a character in that game called Game Guy. He's a shy guy that owns a casino. If you land on his space, you are forced, and I do mean forced, to bet all of your coins in one of several chance-based mini games. And if you lose, the audience laughs at you. I don't know if anyone else hears that, but it really does sound like the audience just straight up laughs at you if you lose one of his mini games. But if you win, they cheer for you. If you win, you double your coins. So it's very high risk, high reward. But it sounds like straight up gambling, so that's why I thought the game would never get re-released.
To be fair, it doesn't sound like too bad, because I think like I think gambling in games and that, where in casinos, like in Pokemon, for example, you have a choice of how much you bet for how much you get back. Like this just sounds like you're being forced to do it. So it's not really gambling. It's just sort of like,
yeah, it's a bit weird. I'd say intent counts for a lot, because for one thing, you're not using real money, so that already puts them quite closer into the realm of safe. And secondly, it's in the context of a board game where one square can just delete 2 of your stars, the next square can force you to give 5 stars to an opponent. It's like having a square where it's just, oh, here's a double or nothing. Oh, you lost by isn't really particularly like scary. The fact that it's a casino theme is a bit iffy, but
yeah,
it might be fine.
I think it's like comic though. It's like comic casino, isn't it? It's not like a real one. And I think to be fair, like there's worse examples in Mario Party of gambling. Like you've got dueling, for example. Like you can bet 40 coins to steal, against someone's star or their money. So yeah, I think
then that one's not luck based, so I don't think it counts.
it could be a chance mini game though.
Yeah.
Or in the case of Mario Party 7, you don't even get to choose what you duel for. It's random, and sometimes you can just get nothing from it, which means it was moot.
I think,
but anyway,
like SBO was saying, part of it is how much choice you have.
But anyway, that's not the end of it either, because going back to Mario Party 3, Mario Party 3 has what I call rare items. They're like really overpowered items that are hard to find, but they do all kinds of like broken stuff. One of them is a lucky charm that forces a player of your choice to bet on Game Guy. Yeah, you can actually force somebody to play one of Game Guy's minigames if you have
that's so polarizing.
Are they able to be played online, these Mario Party games, or?
I think they might. I think they will, because some other multiplayer N64 games support that feature.
Yeah, like I know GoldenEye's getting it. I think Star Fox 64 had it.
Yeah, and Mario Kart had it, I believe.
Yeah, no, that might be one to keep out for them, because I'll be honest, I haven't used any of the NSO apps because I just prefer to have if I could buy the game on its own physically, I'd rather just do that. But I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to be able to do that sometimes. Yeah, especially like if you've already got NSO, then I suppose you have access to it. If you don't, unless you don't have the expansion pack, which like I was saying earlier, but unlike America, I think for us it's maybe like £10 more. So.
I don't know how much it is in Europe.
These games come out, but only slightly. I just hope they put more rare games on there, which I think they will. I do think we will get games like Banjo-Tooie and Perfect Dark, and maybe even Conker's Bad Fur Day. I don't know.
Is it like
no? You know what N64 game we need to see re-released? Rocket Robot on Wheels. That game never gets talked about, and it is a classic. It is a hidden gem.
All I'm picturing right now is Happy Wheels.
No, Rocket Robot on Wheels was actually made by Sucker Punch. It was their first game.
No.
It was an N64 exclusive, has never been re-released. It's actually a 3D platformer, Rocket Robot on Wheels. Have you heard of Nitro Rad, the YouTuber? He did a review of it not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
It's a physics-based 3D platformer. It's very similar to Banjo-Kazooie, but instead of like Gruntilda's Lair, you have Whoopie World, a theme park in outer space.
Oh shit! It got a 9 out of 10 from IGN.
Like I said, it's considered a hidden gem. It's sold very poorly. Barely anybody's heard about it, but those that played it, they usually like it. I really do think that game needs to be brought back into the spotlight. Nostalgia is stronger than ever in this time of day. I don't know though. I don't think it will happen because Sucker Punch is owned by Sony now, aren't they? Which means Sony, who is a big competitor with Nintendo, owns the game's rights.
Yeah, and unlike Microsoft, Sony don't seem to be letting anything go.
Yeah, Sony is just a spoiled kid in all of this, which is a shame. But what you gonna do?
So we have Various Day Life, another farm sim. Thank you.
Next,
thank you, Nintendo. Factorio, which to be fair, SPO, you said that you've heard of before, and you had some interest in.
That's right. It's apparently a really interesting factory automation game, and just all the how you make mechanisms in Minecraft, or even without mechanisms, if you just make something that's slightly interactive, like some trapdoors that lead to something, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, yeah, I've actually built something and it works. Apparently Factorio is all about that. You just build and build and build, and stuff gets more and more automated, like factories, as the name would imply.
Giant Rube Goldberg machine.
A bit, actually, yeah.
Sounds like one of those simple games, but like you said, it just feels good to build your stuff up.
The people I've talked to that played it sure liked it, and I got a special interest in it, especially seeing it launched on the Switch, because, well, seeing it as it's a factory, you have a lot of materials that get transported in conveyor belts and then grabbed by claw machines and transformed into objects and then connected with other objects, and before you know it, your screen is filled with 1,000 objects moving. That is a lot for your computer to process. And I just know that the devs, they have a dev blog and they post about all sorts of crazy optimizations they've done in order to actually make the game not slow to a crawl with so much stuff. And as a programmer, a lot of the stuff they use is actually really brilliant. So knowing that it's on the Switch now, I know they had to optimize it even further. So I'm really curious to see, like, is there going to be like a devlog post saying, "Oh, we had to do this and that for the Switch," or
It'd
is
be
it just going to
interesting.
be more like
Definitely
PC?
curiosity.
I do love
For
it
sure.
when game developers are really open like this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But it helps the rest of the industry out, doesn't it? So
Well,
Yep.
unless you live in Japan, at which point you just keep everything hush hush because
yeah, they don't
culture
keep.
reasons, I
Yeah,
guess.
I
Unless
mean,
you get to
Sakurai's
like
made a
60 years
new
old. Yeah,
YouTube channel.
exactly.
So
You just get to 60 years old and you have like a carte blanche to just talk about whatever you want.
you have an epiphany. LB, what the hell is that?
I think it was that like RPG Maker sort of game.
Oh, was it? Was it not another farming game?
Remember that?
No, I think it was a bit horror-like. It might have been just. Yeah, I think I was rambling about Factorio when this one showed up, so I was like, not paying attention.
Yeah, I think we definitely like skipped over it maybe.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's a bit of a horror. Yeah, no, you are right. Yeah, it's like a horror
Okay.
sort of RPG maker game. It looks
Mm.
like. Yeah. The first, well, it's the first. It's the second free update for Mario Strikers Battle League.
Yawn. Who's even
Yeah.
talking? Who's even playing that game now? The game released,
Well,
people got mad at it because it was unfinished and then they stopped talking about it. Shout
the
out to
problem
Demeach.
is, I mean, I'll talk about this in depth when I do my Game of the Year video, but it is a classic example of it didn't come out swinging, so now I'm just not interested in going back. It missed. Oh, excuse me. It missed the opportunity. Like I was playing it, and even though it had like very little content, which was annoying, especially when they could have put all this in at launch. I went on the online mode and it was shit. It was essentially like playing, like Splatoon Turf War, for example. Like it doesn't matter. Like level doesn't matter. All level does is tell people how much you've played, essentially. And there's no penalty for losing or anything like that. And that's essentially what the online mode, like the ranked season mode, was for Battle League. So like in a normal football league, you win, you get 3 points, you go further in the table, stuff like that. If you lose, then someone can go above you. There's none of that. It literally rewards whoever plays the most. And I was like, this is shit. So I stopped playing that, and it's a shame because it has all the stuff in the game, like being able to decorate your stadium and change it and all that. That's not in any other part of the game. So like a big part of the game was based around this season club thing, and it's crap. So even with these free updates, it's just adding new characters, sure, but it's not improved the game at all. So
That's a shame. I was actually looking forward to the game, but then I heard, those dirty words, free updates, and I was like,
yeah,
okay, you've lost me. Next
yeah,
level games, they're awesome, but I can't support this.
yeah.
I
This
don't
is the
know whose
thing.
fault it is, but I can't support this.
Like presentation wise, the game is brilliant. Like and
It
it is
seems, yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, that the animations, the characters are all great. Some of them are still angry. I do think that compared to Charged, it is like tonally, it's changed. It's toned down a bit. Like not everyone is pissed off all the time now, and not really pissed off in general. To be fair, not like Charged anyway. And but in
Well,
Charged, where you saw like Mario characters like in a setting, or you'd see them in ways you'd never seen them before.
Yeah.
In this one, it's more of what you'd expect, I think.
it was the 2000s. It was all about the edgy.
Yeah,
So
that
I
is true.
guess it's just not that time anymore, for better or worse.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or maybe Nintendo just doesn't like it anymore. Well, Nintendo's just really strict with the Mario IP in particular, aren't they? Like,
they
Mhm.
are these days.
you
Yeah,
can't do this anymore. Paper Mario is now not the same anymore because of it, even though we drilled it into their heads for the past decade that this does not work and it's not what we're looking for in a Paper Mario game. They still won't listen to us because they're stubborn old men, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that it's just a classic case of them burying the head in the sand, really.
It's one
Mhm.
good thing to come out of modern Paper Mario, and I'm not actually talking about the games themselves. There have been a lot of really good spiritual successors coming out
Oh
of it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Games like Bug Fables and
yeah.
Seahorse Saga looks like it might be interesting. And also, it actually made me look back on the first two games in the series, Paper Mario 64 and Thousand Year Door, even more fondly. It made me just love those two games even more.
They're very special.
They are very special. Yeah, they're sacred cows to a lot of people, you
Mm.
could say.
Makes sense.
So next was Atelier Riser 3. That was the RPG with the big tits and the farming. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 3.
Yay! Peach
Glad.
Gardens! Hooray!
Yeah, I was happy to see Peach Gardens.
It's that one track from SRB2 Car SBO. You know the one?
Yeah,
It's
I can't believe they got the licenses from Sonic.
I miss playing that game. SBO, are you back from holiday yet? Can we play that game again this weekend?
Yes, we shall.
Yay! Ben,
You should
join us.
It's so fun.
You say this every weekend, and every weekend I say maybe one day or only tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it to come. I don't think we know every track, do we? We only know the Christmassy one and Peach Gardens so far.
It looked to me like they had footage of a third track, but they didn't specify. But since I don't really recognize the tracks, I wouldn't really know.
I definitely am excited to go. I'm always excited to go back to Mario Kart. I think I said to you, Gavin, but I mean, us guys, we had a meet up last month. Yeah, it was last month. Yeah, and we played through the new Mario Kart tracks then, which was really fun. But I haven't played them enough, so yeah, I'm excited to go back again.
We might have to like hop online and play a little bit that way. If we
definitely,
play Splatoon and Xenoblade, that is.
Yeah. Next up is, oh my god, I couldn't believe this, by the way. So Switch Sports pops up. It's a bloody delay for golf.
Oh yeah, that game. A very similar situation to Mario Strikers Battle League. The game came out, people bought it, they put it down after a bit, nobody talks about it again. I do know that a lot of people were talking about it because of that one YouTuber, Demish. Anyone heard of him? He just came out of nowhere, started shitting on Nintendo's current business practices, and now everybody's like, oh yeah, I agree with this crocodile guy.
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, I mainly saw his videos on Mario Strikers. So
yeah, he just came out of nowhere and suddenly he became like semi-popular because he just shit talks Nintendo now.
I see.
More so the fact that not a lot of people had like caught on that Nintendo doing this was crap. So when someone actually makes a decently made video, I guess, complaining about it.
I actually didn't realize this until the Meech popped up, but the leg strap accessory that you get bundled with Nintendo Switch Sports, you can barely even use the thing on day one.
Yeah, didn't it need an update to work properly?
Yeah, it was for like the football mini game. Like it only worked for like a side mode in that game or something. It wasn't actually fully supported on day one, even though it was bundled with the game. You got a bigger box just to fit it in, and you could barely even use it. That is just what the spark? What are they thinking?
It's pretty bad. I remember even when it was announced, I was like, oh yeah, golf is coming this fall. I was like, what? They delayed golf. And then they delayed it again.
If you want to play golf, just play Mario Golf or something. Just
play Wii Sports. It comes free with your fucking Wii.
That as well.
Well, I don't have it, and I have the oldest Wii known to man.
You have Wii Sports!
Oh, I hope that gets picked up.
I hope so too.
You have Wii Sports!
I'm surprised you didn't go into a coughing fit there, SPO.
Yeah, I should have. Speaking of screaming and coughing fits, oh boy, the next one.
Oh god, yes, yeah. So,
this is next already.
Right, okay. Me and Shiggy pops up, and I go, okay, this is about the Mario movie, isn't it? And lo and behold, he does mention the Mario movie, and I'm like, oh. I mean, I know. I think, Gavin, I think you're excited to see it. I don't really care, to be honest, but I will be excited to watch it with you guys. I think that'll be fun.
My movie. Honestly, with how things are, I am very on the fence about it being a good movie for several reasons. One, it's been done by Illumination, which they don't make good movies. I'm sorry, but Illumination only care about the bottom line. Sure, the animation's pretty, and sure, Despicable Me was a legitimately good film, but I didn't care for anything else. It gets the job done, but outside of Despicable Me, I don't think they made a legitimately good film. Like, I did not like the Lorax. I thought it was awful. I didn't like Sing because the main character was terrible. I didn't like the Grinch because he was just so boring. They don't make good films, is what I'm saying. And the Minions can go spark off. So the fact that they're the ones making the Mario movie, that made me think, I don't have high hopes for this. Sure, Nintendo's very highly involved with it, especially Miyamoto. Like, he's like a producer on the film. I still don't think it's going to be that good.
He's the worst person to be involved. He doesn't like stories.
Yeah.
Have we even got like a runtime confirmation for it yet? What's it going to be? That 5 minutes?
So that's only one reason why I'm not too excited for the Mario movie. The second one is the fact that we barely know anything about it still, and it's only like 7 or 8 months away, and we still know nothing besides the cast. We haven't seen any like trailers or anything. We don't know what the characters are gonna be like in this movie. We know nothing. They are being so tight-lipped about it, and it's making me very nervous, honestly.
I keep forgetting that. Yeah, we've got that cast to look forward to. That's another thing.
I still want to see the movie, hopefully with friends, because it will at least be an event, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
It would definitely be something I don't want to miss for the hell of it. I
It
still
will be
don't think
so
it would
much
be
fun.
good. If it does end up being good, then well, I'll be absolutely surprised.
As long
Illumination
as it's
finally made another
entertaining.
good film.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it's just not boring, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to be sitting there for 20 minutes and thinking, looking at my watch, when we're going to leave. I either want to be laughing at it or it making me laugh. So,
yeah, if it's a good time, then sure, I'll give it a pass. Like, the live action Mario movie, I do like that, but that's more of an ironic kind of enjoyment. Like, it's not a good film technically, but it's enjoyable. And also the visual effects are actually amazing for the time that film came out.
Well,
the Yoshi animatronic in particular still looks amazing to this day because he's really there. He's not CG.
Well, we'll have to see how it turns out. And luckily, he didn't spend too long on it, old Shuggy. I think he mentioned Super Nintendo Land as well at some point. I don't know what he said about
that. That's the thing.
They're finishing something up.
Maybe they're
anniversary.
finishing up. Yeah, I think it was I think it was the anniversary of it opening or something. The 2-year anniversary, yeah. Which hopefully I should be going to next year, which would be interesting. But then he moves on to, he says, today I want to talk about Pikmin. And obviously we're all like,
yeah, what's this all about?
Yeah, and then he goes, and then up pops Pikmin Bloom, and I'm like, he can't talk about Pikmin Bloom and then piss off. He can't. Come on, what is it? Is it Hey Pikmin 2? Come on, break our hearts again. And then he talks about Pikmin Bloom for a bit. Actually, it seemed like it was going on forever. I'll be honest. Like, I think SPO, you were nearly having a heart attack, just waiting, like, what it's going to be.
He was going on a big tangent during the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just repeating information everybody already knew for the past year.
Yeah, I think he said that he wouldn't know you wouldn't know that it'd been out for a year because he was talking like it had just come out.
Exactly. I thought he was actually losing it, and nobody told him that the game already launched a year ago. And he was just so excited. Oh boy, I can't wait to finally show the world about Pikmin Bloom.
It's his age, guys.
It's already released.
It's his age, guys. He's going to be 70 this year.
Yeah.
I know. Thank God he's still here to release Pikmin 4. Holy shit.
I definitely didn't see that coming.
SPO, take it away, because obviously this is like the big one for you.
For sure.
Let me get comfy.
This is the highlight of the Direct for me. Obviously, when they started showing the footage, my mind would not spring into the idea of Pikmin 4. Because between all the rumors, between all the interviews, between all of the insider information that I may or may not have to various small or large degrees, it's all a big blur, and so it doesn't feel like Pikmin 4 was actually really real until maybe one day they would announce it. But in the meantime, they looked like they were just having fun with re-releases and spin-offs. So Pikmin 4 was just not really an expected thing. But at the same time, every single Pikmin fan also had the expectation of Pikmin 4 existing. So it's this weird mixture of, we're looking at footage of a new game, this is definitely Pikmin 4, and also definitely not Pikmin 4. So we just had to hold our breaths until the logo showed up. My first thought was that it was actually Pikmin 3 Deluxe 2. Like some DLC or something.
And then Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
Yeah.
Super Deluxe.
It's just like a fever dream. Like, what's happening? It's gotta be like a port of a port. But then I don't even know what I thought about it. But as time went on, it just started to become clearer and clearer that, yeah, this is absolutely a new product. It's a new Pikmin game. And yeah, eventually the logo showed up. There was no doubt. And just a realization of seeing the 4 there. No nonsense. No Pikmin redone.
Yeah.
Pikmin Samus's Return.
Yeah.
No Pikmin 2. Just an actual 4. It was just like some glass shattering. Some glass that existed between the fan base and Pikmin 4 just shattered.
I think I do wish it got a more grandiose reveal, I guess. Like, I like the little, them going over, showing you settings of the new areas and stuff. But that's all the footage we got. Like there was no, big moments make you go, "Oh shit, it's that!" Like,
Yeah,
so
game changer.
Just tells me that the game is still a bit away off from development, from release, really. Or
I'm not so sure about that. Apparently, the game has been in development since like 2018, as the rumors go. But also consider the fact that it's going to launch in 2023. Even if that's late, 2023, like they should still have quite a lot. The last year of a game is usually spent on Q&A. So they're not going to develop like all the missing areas, all the missing leaders, all the missing gameplay modes and mechanics in like a year. That's just not a thing. They obviously have to be much, much more in development than what we see in the trailer.
I'm fair saying it's going to be a summer game. It feels like a summer game to me.
It's like an autumn game for me personally.
What I do believe they're trying to do is they're going to try to make the focus on Pikmin, especially after the Zelda.
Like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Nintendo always likes to have like one leading game, and they always like to post like once a month about, oh, in the new game you're going to have this or that. So I think Pikmin is just going to have to be one of those. And for that to happen, they have to like drip feed us information. They can't just go all out. It also might be a bit of a symptom of Miyamoto not being super connected with the world at large. Like he's just so focused on how Mario should be, and that's part of why Mario is so tightly protected, the image and all that. But like he's also so focused on Pikmin that he probably doesn't realize other games exist and people aren't as familiar with Pikmin as they should be. So like while for a Pikmin fan, seeing that footage is like, yeah, this is big. For other gamers, it's like, oh, it's a game? I think a concept demo.
I do wonder how well it's going to do because I think Pikmin 3 Deluxe sold just under 2 million, right?
Pikmin 3 Deluxe sold the most out of any Pikmin game, bar none.
Yeah.
As far as I know, so it's actually scary. Pikmin is such an underground but popular franchise. A high grounded? How do you mean?
Yeah, it just needs a bit of like for example, when Xenoblade 3 come out recently, it felt like everyone was talking about it. Like even if you haven't played like Xenoblade before, like people just were hearing about how good Xenoblade 3 was. And I think Pikmin 4 needs a bit of that. Like when that comes out, like even if you haven't played a Pikmin game, like if the Pikmin fans make enough noise about how good the game is, if it is good, then I think more people will just tune in naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. It does have the potential to go exactly that route.
Yeah,
which is good.
It'll have more chance of doing that this time around because like Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I really like Pikmin, but I didn't pick up 3 Deluxe because I already have it on the Wii U.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think Pikmin fans would have bought 3 anyway. Do you know what I mean? So, but like you said, if we make more noise about Pikmin 4, hopefully it'll do gangbusters.
Absolutely. It does look like, from everywhere I look, from fans and not fans, that this is actually a bit of a big deal. So let's hope it does actually go that route.
I'm just glad that they're still making games like this late into the Switch's life cycle.
Well, we don't know how late it is into the Switch's life cycle, do we? Yeah. We don't know how long the Switch has got left, which I think it's got like about 3 more years to go.
I would say 3 or 4 years, yeah.
Considering Splatoon 3 and
these
big
games
releasing
for 2 years.
Year, I really don't think this. And plus, the Switch is doing way too well for Nintendo to just think about what to do next.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna try to squeeze as much out of it as they can, which I think they should. They can't abandon that massive install base now.
Software-wise, it's doing so well as well. Like it's doing well hardware-wise, but software is just still selling through the roof.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's also like a world shortage of some materials, so making new consoles isn't exactly the highest of priorities right now.
Yeah, there's a chip shortage right now.
I'm pretty sure Nintendo even said that they had to cut down on production a bit.
They had to scale back Switch development.
Yeah.
Switch manufacturing. But anyway, real quick, I hate to remind you this, but Pikmin 3 came out in 2013. Pikmin 4 is coming out in 2023.
Mental.
10 years apart.
Yeah. It's easy to just look at that and be like, "Oh, Nintendo forgets about Pikmin. We're so like abandoned." But it's not. What
do you think I feel? I want a new F-Zero game.
Exactly.
18 years, and still nothing.
Exactly. As much as we Pikmin fans like to complain, we're just not abandoned. Period. We have Hey Pikmin, we have Pikmin Bloom, we have the Pikmin short movies, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and Nintendo likes to sprinkle Pikmin every here and there. So we're not abandoned at all.
I think I've said before, but I think that if there's going to be a new F-Zero, the Switch is the time to do it, because I think I said it with Fatal Frame as well, but the Switch is doing so well that I think they can afford to lose a good amount of money to make a game that everyone wants.
Please give us a new F-Zero. Get Sega to make it again, please.
Yeah, and consider the gimmicks of the Switch, going portable or going on your television. A game like F-Zero would perfectly do well for that. It can run at 60 FPS, even undocked. It's not a demanding game. And another big gimmick is you can just grab your Switch, go to a party or a friend's house, plop out both Joy-Cons, and now suddenly 2 people are playing just like that. And again, F-Zero would work perfectly for that.
It would.
So there's potential. They just have to actually do it.
So next up, we'll move on from the Pikmin 4 because there's still quite a few bits to get through, but a lot of it is stuff like Just Dance 2023.
Yay!
Great. There's also Harvestella, another farming game, which, to be fair, looked like the best one out of the bunch, but it's still a farming game in a direct full of them. So the next big game, I will say, is Bayonetta 3. This is looking... It's definitely looking like a Bayonetta game.
Yeah, Bayonetta 3 is actually looking quite smooth.
Yeah, it's looking good. I thought, especially the second Bayonetta game, I thought was brilliant. So I'm looking forward to this.
I can't tell what this trailer has that the previous trailers didn't have, because at this time I was fucking screaming. I didn't even pay attention to this trailer, so...
To be honest, it didn't have much new from what it looked like. It was just Bayonetta gameplay, really, from what we'd already seen. So, but more of the good stuff. That's pretty much what it was.
Okay.
We have Raincoat next, which is one of my highlights as well, because I recently played Danganronpa 1 and 2. So when they said it was from the makers of Danganronpa, I was like, okay. And it screams Danganronpa. It's got the same art style, the same sort of caricature. Yeah, it just it looks it's almost like a visual novel / detective game, which that's right up my alley. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I think that one comes out. I think it's in early 2023, so hopefully it's early enough for me to get my hands on it, because I'd rather wait. I'd rather that be earlier in the year so it doesn't come up against Zelda, for example.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
Next is Resident Evil Cloud series. Boring.
They lost me there. Yeah, I was like, hey, wait, I know that lady. She's from Resident Evil Village, and I was like, oh, did they actually
She's
put
in
them on
those
the Switch?
memes.
Yeah.
And the Rule 34, but anyway, cloud versions. That's where I was like, sorry, not interested anymore.
If you say cloud version, it's essentially telling me, yeah, they're coming to Switch, but they're not. So move on. Sifu, don't know. Sifu, which one was that? Was that a?
That's that game where the gimmick is every time you die, you come back, but you age some years.
Oh yeah. That's I think is it roguelike?
It looks like a beat 'em
Sorry,
up.
what's that?
I think it's a roguelike.
No, I think it's just
that's a
a
different
beat 'em
game.
up.
Is it? Oh no,
It's
that might be
more
this
of a beat 'em
endless
up,
dungeon game that's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. I'm excited for this. I actually bought the original Crisis Core last year or something, and I still haven't played it. So the fact that this is coming out will probably make me play it. I know Gavin said who's this guy with black hair? So he doesn't. Gavin and I'm assuming Esther as well don't know who Zach is.
I was like, is this Cloud's Echo Fighter? Because he was wielding the Buster Sword as well, wasn't he? I was like, oh wow, this actually could be a good idea for Cloud Echo Fighter.
This is definitely a case where, if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, you'll probably be quite lost. So,
for sure.
I'm surprised at how good graphically the game looks. It looks on par with the remake.
Not actual gameplay footage.
Is that what it said?
I didn't see that, but wouldn't it be funny if that was the case?
Oh, please
it
don't!
ended up not looking like that.
Yeah, because it looks so good. If that's how it looks on Switch, I'll be so surprised. If it looks that good on Switch, there should be a way of getting the actual Final Fantasy VII remake on there. So yeah, I guess we'll see. Radiant Silvergun and Endless Dungeon. I think these are 2 roguelike beat 'em ups or what have you.
Radiant Silvergun is not a roguelike.
Oh, but wait, was that the one that you went mental over, Gavin?
I didn't go mental over it. I was just pleasantly surprised. Well, I told you I was surprised by it because Radiant Silvergun. Well, okay, so it's a game made by Treasure. You know Treasure, right? Gunstar Heroes, Dynamite Headdy, Sin and Punishment. That developer. Radiant Silvergun is just another one of their games. It's a it was released on the Sega Saturn, only in Japan. It's a shoot 'em up.
To be fair, I do like space shooters, so
yeah, it's just another one of their games that.
How many Saturn games have seen re-releases anyway?
Not that many. It's because the Saturn. Well, the Saturn is the Saturn.
Yeah.
It did very well in Japan, but everywhere else it flopped hard, and now only people in like recent years are realizing, wait, the Saturn had some good games, and now Saturn games cost like hundreds of quid.
Yeah.
Unless you import from Japan, where they're usually much cheaper. But Radiant Silvergun is not one of those games. It's still expensive, even in Japan. It's only market. So seeing a re-release is actually a big deal. Because now you're not going to have to break the bank just to get a physical copy.
Yeah.
Well, the next game is one that I was excited to see, but looking into it more, I'm don't know. It's Tales of Symphonia Remastered, and I played Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube maybe a couple of years ago, and it's such a delightful, fun RPG. It was the second Tales game I played after Tales of Vesperia, and yeah, it's brilliant. It's a great game. It's the most well-known Tales game, and yeah, I guess for good reason.
Put like the Tales series in the minds of Western people. Like it is actually like a beloved game, but it's cool that it's getting a remaster. I mean, I might check it out, but that trailer, the graphics did not look that good for a remaster. They literally look like they just ripped it straight from the original GameCube and just put it on the Switch without touching it up.
Well, this is the thing.
A bit rough.
Because it's not actually ripped from the GameCube. It looks like it's ripped from the PS3 remaster. Which
PS3 remaster? That was
what? There was a PS3 remaster. It's called Tales of Symphonia Chronicles because it included the sequel as well.
Okay, now there's definitely no excuse for the graphics to be that rough then if it's from a PS3 game.
Well, the thing is, the GameCube version was a bit like, I guess, lower resolution, so like it blurred over some of the imperfections a bit more. And to be fair, it was a lot more vibrant. Like the PS3 version and this remastered version, the colours look a bit washed out.
It's mainly the texture work on like the characters' faces that's throwing me off, and I'm thinking to myself, they need to touch this up before release. Well, I hope they do.
The worst thing is, and it's something that will put me off actually, is the fact that even though there's extra content in this game from the PS3 release, I think they had like a few new moves and cutscenes and stuff. The game itself only runs in 30 FPS, whereas the original GameCube version ran in 60. So if this runs in 30, I'm probably not going to get it because I've essentially got a better running version of it on the GameCube.
I don't think they would do that. I mean,
I don't think they would.
Been
but
quite good with their remakes. Like, look how Klonoa turned out. That turned out quite well. So I do think they will put in the effort to make the Tales of Symphonia remake good. I do think the graphics will be improved. I do think it will run at 60 FPS. It's just I'm just not convinced yet, is what I'm saying.
All I want is it to run at 60, and I think that if the original PS3 release had the sequel put in as well, then this should have it as well. If not, then might have to wait to see what price it is before we see if it's worth getting.
Yeah.
Only time will tell for now.
It will. But yeah, from one remaster to another, Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Is it called Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe in Europe now? Like, because before it was called Kirby's Adventure.
I think so. Yeah.
Good point.
Right,
we never really saw the direct for the UK because
I can confirm real quick. I'm actually gonna see if like Nintendo UK's Twitter actually mentions the name.
Okay.
So yeah, just give me a moment to look that up. But when it comes to Kirby remakes, Return to Dreamland is not the first one I would have picked because Return to Dreamland is not that old. It's only 11 years old. I would have gone with Kirby 64, even the Amazing Mirror, but not Return to Dreamland.
Wait, isn't Return to Dreamland a Wii game?
Yeah.
Oh wait, it looks like
10
it is
years?
going to be.
Really?
11. I said 11. It released in 2011.
Sorry, I guess I kind of rounded, but still.
Anyway, I just looked up Nintendo UK's Twitter. They are calling it Return to Dreamland, so it looks like the name's sticking for us.
I don't know why they changed it to Kirby's Adventure. That's a bit of a shit name.
Because localization, funny.
Well, Kirby games in Europe have always been weird for a while.
Yeah,
Like,
they had mouse
either they
Street
got
Squad.
weird renames or they just took forever to come out. Look at Superstar Ultra. That took a year to come out after America. I'm still mad about that. But anyway, speaking of changes, they actually changed the graphical style for the remake. Like characters are
Quite a lot.
shaded now.
People
They're
do not
cell
seem happy
shaded
with how
now.
DDD looks.
DDD's face is weird. It
It
looks
is a bit.
Punched.
It is a bit soulless.
Yeah. But hey, at least we get to see more Magalore, and you can't go wrong with Magalore. He's a great character, and that's all I'll say because spoilers, Espiel's here.
Yeah.
I think that this was. I played Return to Dreamland maybe a couple of years ago, and maybe it's just because I've played really good Kirby games since then. Return to Dreamland did nothing for me. I was quite disappointed. It was just a bit of a slog for me.
It was more like a soft reboot because Kirby hadn't had a proper 2D platformer, a new 2D platformer in a while, and this basically like set the foundation for the next few Kirby games to follow. Like Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot pretty much were built on the foundation set by Return to Dreamland.
That's good in its own right.
Yeah, but you want to know what's funny? You want to know what's really funny? This game looks like it runs at 60 FPS, like the remake. The Wii version ran at 60 FPS. The remake looks like it's going to run at 60 FPS. Star Allies did not run at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Even though Return to Dreamland, Triple Deluxe, and Planet Robobot did.
I think it's cool that they're adding mini games. That's like something that Kirby has pretty much all the time.
Mini games have always been a thing. Like,
yeah.
The mini games that were in the original game, they're back, but they actually bring in some like old mini games from other games back, like the
okay. I didn't realize they had some already.
Like the hot potato mini game where you have the frying pans and you're passing the bomb around. That's from one of the GBA Kirby games.
And if I'm not mistaken, the reflexes one where one samurai slaps the other one when the timer runs out, or when like something appears. That's like from Superstar.
Yeah, that is from Superstar.
Yeah,
that's a freeway one as well this time.
Yeah,
4-way even.
4-way even, yeah. Yeah, it's not a game that I'm going to pick up. I don't think, especially because it'll probably be priced horrendously. But
it would be full price for a game that you probably already own.
Yeah. Are you going to get it, Gavin? Do you think?
I don't think I will. I might. I think I'll pass.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. Is this the next game? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, this is the last game of the presentation. It was. We finally got a reveal for The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Been a long time coming.
Too long. And to be fair, they still didn't show that much.
The game was announced 3 years ago at E3. We didn't even
have a title. Longer than that.
We didn't have a title. We barely heard anything about it. Last year at E3, we got another trailer, and then we were told it was going to release in 2022. And then earlier this year, we were told, oh, it's going to be delayed until 2023. Which, you know, bless Nintendo. I wish more AAA game developers and publishers did that more. Activision. Sure. But anyway, we finally have a title. And it turns out that title might have been the reason why the Nintendo Direct wasn't live streamed in the UK because of unfortunate events going on at the moment.
Yeah. I think that was a coincidence. I don't think that's the reason why, but it is a funny coincidence.
For sure, yeah. My thoughts exactly.
So the game's coming out in May. Should be a good time.
How are we thinking about it, boys? Because
I just want to know, well, everything really. Like, it looks like it's still the exact same Hyrule, but with more like land masses in the sky. I just want to know what's going on because have you seen Link's right arm? It looks like it's cursed or something.
It's all fucky.
Yeah.
It's all. Yeah, I actually did say that. Yeah, but
I think so, yes.
At the same time, it gives him like powers very similar to like the Sheikah Slate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking like his Sheikah Slate might have like merged with his right arm or something. And
that's what happens when you play too many video games.
I'm probably setting myself up for disappointment here, but I'm kind of thinking that this game might have an actually interesting story.
I don't know because they're showing us so little. They're telling us so little. The most I can gather is that like Hyrule Castle has been forced into the sky a la Paper Mario 64.
A lot of games, really.
And and you still have that crusty corpse, who I still think is meant to be Ganondorf or
dehydrated again. Everybody knows that.
What about Zelda? What role does Zelda play in the story or in the game as a whole?
She's a legend.
I think some because I know at one point,
Thanks,
I think it was like when the trailer first came out, they were like, "Oh, playable Zelda," and I'm not one for playable Zelda personally. But I do hope she does have a bigger role in the story this time. I hope she's not just trapped somewhere and he's out the picture the whole game.
Yeah.
Like I think at one cutscene, it was like the first teaser that we got. Like they're going through a cave together and they discover this thing together. I hope there's more instances like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as much as I do like Breath of the Wild, but it'd be cool if this game wasn't as isolating. I guess like if it had more stuff going on.
Well, probably. It's called Tears of the Kingdom, which basically implies that, well, like everyone, like all the residents, are basically like crying over something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long this is set after Breath of the Wild, but if it's a decent amount of time, after it, then more communities and civilizations would have sprung up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll be really interested.
I don't know. From my end, like, sure, a better story is probably good and all, but I'm just excited to have another playground.
Yeah.
Like that was really the main point for Breath of the Wild for me. It's just you're here in the world, nobody's holding your hand. Do whatever you want to survive. Like that's fun. It's just swinging sticks at goblins just to survive. It's fun. So having to do that again is just going to be fun for me. I don't care about the story. But that said, it does feel like Nintendo is learning a lot from Breath of the Wild, and I think that they're just going to redouble their efforts on what went well and correct what went wrong. Because I think one of the biggest things that makes me feel this way is one of the devs being completely shocked at how many people really wanted to be able to pet dogs. And I think that shock isn't just, oh, that's interesting. I think that shock is more along the lines of, if we don't do this for Breath of the Wild 2, we are going to get hanged publicly. So I think they're actually out there taking notes.
Hey, I thought this about the bloody sandwich in Xenoblade, and they didn't touch that. Like, that thing is still uneaten.
No sense of taste. Unlock. Never forget the unlock. If you guys don't know, just look up Xenoblade Chronicles Free Camera. I have a field day with that one.
My God.
There's another thing about Tears of the Kingdom that's got me really interested, and that's what's going on with the Master Sword, because it's broken basically, and it looks like a big plot element or big gameplay element. It's basically like broken. It's like cursed. It's like it looks like you have to try to restore it to its original form. Like even in the game's logo, it looks like well, it's broken, but there's like a outline of it. So yeah, repairing the Master Sword is like a big element of the gameplay.
Yeah, seems
like it's not like Skyward Sword.
Wasn't there another game where you had to repair a broken Master Sword as well?
Minish Cap, even though that wasn't the Master Sword.
Not quite what I'm thinking. I think I'm just actually thinking of. Oh no, the question I actually wanted to pose wasn't there another game where the Master Sword was also a bit fucky? And I think that's just Breath of the Wild 1.
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker. Oh yeah, you had to restore the power to it, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's starting to look like it's actually a common trend.
Yeah. The Master Sword.
Well, it is the sword of evil's bane, so evil would want to try to basically make it obsolete, like invalid in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like evil just can't touch it. It's law, mate.
It looks like the the world vertically is just going to be so much more dense and interesting this time around.
Yeah.
Because of like the sky and that, and I mean they've returned to they did the sky in Skyward Sword as well, but I mean this time it's going to be a lot different. But I also think it's going to be done a lot better.
I don't think they're going to make the same mistakes as Skyward Sword, but personally, just islands. I'm not too sure, because so far what we've seen in trailers and the like is just random islands, and I'm thinking, what could they do to make it different? Like, okay, instead of random islands, random pieces of natural geometry, you could add like man-made buildings. But then you actually think about the mental image, and it's just ridiculous. So maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe all the verticality we're going to see is just islands. But I don't know, something in the back of my mind tells me we should really trust the developers. They know what they're going to do.
I don't think they could have spent this long developing the game and not come out with at least something that's
They're gonna pour their heart and soul into this, like they do almost every 3D Zelda game. Let's be real.
Yeah,
it's a common trend with 3D Zeldas, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They always put their heart and soul into it. they aren't afraid to delay them if they absolutely need to, unless it's Wind Waker, because Wind Waker was rushed, if you can believe that. But that notwithstanding, they do put a lot of their time and care into 3D Zelda.
Yeah.
So I do think this might very well be one of the most grandiose Zelda games ever.
Yeah, and it's riding on the back of one of the most grandiose Zeldas ever. So
I already liked Breath of the Wild a lot,
despite
but
its shortcomings, yeah, it's still set out to do what it wanted to do, and I think it did it mostly well. I just wish it had a better story and better voice acting.
Well, well, this is something that I think they've already alleviated, because I don't think you guys played it, but I played Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity.
No, I didn't.
The characters and voice acting in that are so much better. Like, playing that game made me want to replay Breath of the Wild, because the champions and the characters are just fleshed out a lot more, and it was really good.
Speaking of improving voice acting, Xenoblade 2 versus Xenoblade 3, wow, what a difference 5 years makes.
Yeah,
Xenoblade 2's voice acting was very spotty, but Xenoblade 3 is just like perfect, I think.
We can discuss that in the Xenoblade PHATcast that we will inevitably do.
Wait, we're doing
in
that?
7 years when I finish the game.
Yeah, well, we might have to do one with me and Gavin, then come back for you, SBO.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm excited for Zelda. I was going to say before, but I realised Breath of the Wild, but Immortals Phoenix Rising, when I played that made me realise what Breath of the Wild did really well. So I had a much higher appreciation for the game after finishing Immortals. So yeah, I guess time will tell. It's coming out in May if it doesn't get delayed again. So
I think it will.
Yeah, just a short hop.
Yeah. Well, then again, Twilight Princess got delayed like 6 times or so.
Don't jinx it, Gavin.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't care. You know what Miyamoto apparently said about delaying games?
Oh, that quote has become
a meme.
It's too much now. Yeah, it's been memed to high heaven, but I can't even take it seriously anymore.
I still think it's very important because, well, in this day and age, you're seeing more and more games get rushed out the door. You're seeing more and more like development crunch, and it's horrible to hear these stories and to have to experience these half-baked video games that were highly anticipated. Just look what happened with Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, but you got to remember that game got delayed loads. Like, so did Halo Infinite. That got delayed as well, but they still come out crap.
Yeah, well, the good thing is Nintendo doesn't do crunch usually, especially for their big AAA games.
Not that we know of.
Yes, that's true too.
Yeah, they're very secretive, so you never know.
Yeah, well. I'm just trying not to sound like too much of a shill here.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
For sure.
I definitely, like, don't get me wrong. Like, when a game is delayed and you hear it's to fix up stuff, and Nintendo doesn't have a bad track record, I don't think, at the moment of releasing unfinished games. But I will admit, it's probably a conversation for another day. But they are getting there. Like, even in terms of like that, we've talked about Pokemon before. That game was released unfinished, and you had to patch it to make it work.
That's another rabbit hole altogether. I honestly don't think that's Nintendo's fault or really their responsibility. It's all Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, really. Nintendo just like eyes it from a distance.
Yeah, and we have said this, and my friend Luke said it as well, and he's not like massive on Nintendo, but even he knows that Nintendo have a certain quality in terms of quality, like ignoring content, but in terms of quality, when they release a game, it will usually release like very well made. Do you know what I mean? Even if they have to add stuff later, it won't be broken.
It's just things have been a bit different during the Switch era, especially for their multiplayer-centric games. Like, just look at the Mario Sports games; those have been getting a lot of flack for releasing unfinished, and
it's because of the content though. Like, they're still very like. Don't get me wrong. Like, Battle League released content-wise very light, but it's still a very well-made game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as long as the game is broken, that matters. But if you're releasing the game blatantly unfinished, well, I just don't want to support that.
Yeah,
I don't want to think about it until the game is actually finished.
Yeah.
That's why I held off on Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush.
So I guess before we sign off, we'll just say our our actual number one highlight of the direct, and we'll start with you, SBO.
Gee, I wonder. After the review, I don't think anything else mattered. I think I was just kind of tuned off. Of course, I was also busy with like Pickord and Wikipedia trying to manage everything. So even if something else was more important,
his mind was going a mile a minute that day.
I was.
And also, funny things happening at the Pikmin Discord.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like people were leaving, people were joining, like en masse.
Yeah, I didn't even reveal any numbers, but it was easily between like 15 people leaving and like 50 people entering.
Jesus.
Just in the period of the direct. And then there were more in the following days. Discord community servers actually have a feature that shows statistics for in the past week, how many people joined and left and whatever. I really want to see that. It's gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Discord's gonna think we did something really well.
Yeah.
Beat that algorithm.
Yeah.
Gavin, what was your highlight?
This might surprise you, but it was Pikmin 4. Because with Tears of the Kingdom, I already knew that was coming out and whatnot, but Pikmin 4 caught me off guard. And plus, well, I do really like Pikmin. I don't know if it's for the same reasons of Espia. Well, one of the big appeal, the big selling points of Pikmin for me personally is its high replayability.
Yeah, it is very replayable.
Like chasing high scores can get incredibly addicting. Finding out, optimizing your strategies and your routes, it's just so satisfying. And again, like I said, highly addictive. That's what I like about Pikmin. Also, like the nature aspect of it.
Once you get the flow down, it's a very hard game to put down. It's very good.
I was also like really big into like nature documentaries at the time the first Pikmin game came out, and I was just like drawn into it because of like the similarities.
That's perfect timing.
Yeah.
I think my highlight would be either Octopath 2 or Nightcode, I reckon. It probably is Octopath 2 because I know that that's going to be quality. That's mine. Another RPG. Who knew?
Speaking of RPGs, Ben.
Yes.
When are you going to start playing that game I gave you?
I've got a bit of a backlog, but I'll try and fit it in somewhere.
Have you finished Magical Star Sign yet?
I think I'm at the last dungeon.
If you're on Shadra, then you are.
Yes.
Yes, you're in the end game. Just remember, there's a point of no return at some point, and the game doesn't tell you beforehand.
No, brilliant.
Right, well, on that note, boys, we shall adjourn for now until the next direct or whatever tickles our fancy.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, thanks for joining me.
I'm going to go for something a bit meatier.
I'm going to get something a bit meatier too. Wheeze in a bleep.